What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Loaded show for you guys today. Got Ahmmon Richards, your favorite. We'll be breaking down Louisville game, just where Miami's at, all kinds of stuff. Then we got Coach Duaso from Raw Miami, probably the most talented 7-on-7 team in the country. You're seeing all his guys, including Malachi Tony, Dallas Wilson, dominate on Saturdays, Bryce Fitzgerald. So we'll talk about just some recruiting stuff, some of these players. And then I got the bank. So we'll give you the latest on recruiting, exclusive direct info on Miami recruiting from the bank. So big time show, big time guest. And we got big time sponsors with Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in.
D, good morning.
Standing up a little bit, kind of show off the build.
You know, we've been going a little long on these shows. It's not the best thing for the back, for the lower back. I think it's just better to be on the move, man. I think maybe the energy levels might be a little bit better with me standing up here too. So I'm excited, man. I had a spicy Jamaican beef patty this morning in honor of our guest today. So let's bring them on, D.
Yeah, by the way, I fixed my mic. I turned it around. Thanks for the tip. So we're crystal clear. And there we go. Man himself, how we doing?
How we doing, man?
the Jamaican patty thing, man. Come on. You're funny.
What's wrong with it? You're Jamaican, no?
A spicy patty in the morning is insane, but I got you. I'm gonna let you
rock. But you know what? You're right. I should probably listen to you on that. But you know what? It gets things moving. It gets things moving early. You could also look at it that way.
That's fair. I agree with that one. You can't never go wrong with them.
No. I've been reliably informed by Jamaican people that the way to eat it is not just to eat the patty. You got to get the cocoa bread and make like a little sandwich. Yeah. And then you eat it like a sandwich with the patty in the middle. So
yeah, I don't do that, but that's definitely everyone. That's the way to go. I like the classic version, just regular.
Limiting your cars, man, keeping your speed and all that. I see it. Justin Krupp says, favorite show, favorite guest. I know you're not alone. We get all the comments right here. So it's Tuesday. So, Mom, we had the bye week off, right? Well, we don't have the bye week off, but the team had no game. So they're working. Just a bye week like that. Let's start with the schedule, period, because that to me, from a fan perspective, you're seeing really intense, basically a state championship type of schedule to start. You get a bye before FSU, you win that game, then another bye, and then boom, straight through the ACC all the way potentially to the ACC championship game. You as a player, when you look at this schedule and the way the bye's set up, kind of how do you see it?
Yeah. I'm honestly at first, I know coming into the year, everyone's kind of like skeptical of it, right? It's very early, back to back in a way. But when you really think about it, it does make a little bit more sense. And reason being is that all of the physical teams we've played up front. We stayed healthy through them, but I think going through those 4 weeks of battle, bye week, then you got Florida State, a rival where it's going to be a physical, tough game. Then you got a bye week to kind of recover from that one before you go into the ACC play where it's known to not be as physical, right? So I'm not mad at it. I do think it actually hits at a good time where you have 7 weeks to kind of mesh as an offense because, like we've been saying, just finishing games, things of that nature. There's a lot we still can correct, and I think these next 7 weeks gives us the perfect timeline to kind of gel right before we go into ACC championship game and playoffs, things of that nature. So I'm honestly I don't really see it as a big negative, especially after the ACC championship game. Is there a little time off before you get into the playoffs, or I'm not exactly sure, but.
Yeah, I think let's see when the playoffs start. I think there is a couple weeks off. But yeah, I don't think it's straight through
that break. It may be a week and a half or so, something like that. But I'm not mad at the timeline, and I think we do need that time to kind of get in rhythm as an offense, as a team, playing back-to-back weeks. I think the bye weeks sometimes can chop up that momentum. So, as long as we do what we need to do, I think these next 7 weeks will be very team building, mesh. We can mesh well, things of that nature. So. I'm not really mad at it.
Throwing something else into the equation too, they actually have fall break this week, so they're not in class this week. So it's probably a nice thing for them that they're back in football mode this week, and they're just worried about the game this week, and it's a short week anyway. So, not a bad little twist there for them as well.
Yeah,
man, fall break must be nice. Yeah. So, you asked. I pulled it up. It's December 19th and 20th when the playoff starts. That's the first round, right? So if you got to buy, you don't need to. It's not until the end of December, like New Year's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then the games are 2 weeks before that.
So if we handle business, we get like another bye essentially right before the playoffs. So we just got to handle business another 7-8 weeks if you include the AC championship game, and then you get like a little break, and then after that is 4 games or 3 games and to play for it all. So hey, we're here now.
Burr says it feels like the start of a brand new season. We talked about it last show, right? You kind of have rivalry state championship season. Now it's ACC season, which has been a tough one for Miami since, forever. You were on that team that was rolling, and then paired with Kenny Pickett, redshirt freshman Kenny Pickett, with the upset. So it's like it kind of happens every single year. That's the curse that needs to get broken. But Louisville. So watching them on tape, first thing that stands out, Chris Bell, wide receiver number 0. This dude is, every single target is going his way. It seems like, fun offense to play in if you're the number 1 receiver, because he is. Let me just pull up his game log here. Last game, he had 12 catches. The game before that, he had 10 catches. So he is getting the ball consistently. What do you see from him as just kind of that dominant wide receiver 1?
Yeah, really good receiver, very physical, sneaky fast. Can actually run by you if if you're caught slipping. I think we're talking a little bit before, but my comp for him is AJ Brown, from Mississippi, like people saying, and just look at his stat line. 35 catches, 500 yards. That's pretty solid. Like, he almost got 1,000 yards halfway through the season. So really good receiver, definitely going to get a lot of targets. I think the way they play on offense, at least this game, I do think we're going to see a lot more quick game, getting the ball out, just due to obviously Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor coming off the edge. So our cornerback's going to be challenged this week. I do like our guys over their guys, but I think it's going to be a battle of actual, draftable NFL talent we're going to see in the perimeter Friday.
Just the size of this dude, 6'2", 220, as a receiver. Not all big receivers are the same. Some big receivers like to go up top of you. Some guys kind of run through you. This guy right here, he's tall, but man, 220, seems like just watching him, crossers, anything where he can use his strength kind of seems to be what he likes to do. So how do you deal with a guy with this type of build at 6'2", 220?
So I would assume we would probably start with obviously our bigger corners, getting this type of matchup. Shout out to OJ. This is not an OJ talk down, but I just think you'll see more like your Damari Browns, Xavier Lucas, guys who are 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds that can bump and run, because you're going to have to be physical with him. He's a physical guy. Really good hands, as you see, a lot of targets as well. So they're gonna challenge him on the perimeter, and when you have a guy that's probably going in the first round at receiver, and we like our guys. It's going to be a battle of just talent. Like, we're going to see good on good, and we'll see if our guys are ready for the challenge, which I'm sure we are.
Yeah, Ahmmon, you mentioned the amount of targets that he gets. You see there in the 2 ACC games, has 10 and 12 receptions there. You hear so much about Jeff Brom and his ability as a play caller, as a schemer. Even if we can expect Xavier Lucas to match up well with him physically, right, to be able to run with him, he has the size and all that. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of explain to the people what a great play caller can do to get a guy like Bell the ball? Because obviously they're force feeding, might be the right term the last couple of games, but when you have a talent like that, you want to get him as many touches as possible. So what have you seen in terms of how they scheme him up?
Yeah. So what I've seen so far is that they love to obviously move him around. Like, you see him in the boundary, he's in the field, he may motion to the slot. That's the other thing. They do motion him often to create like that room or separation off the line of scrimmage from the cornerbacks. Because like I said, he actually has some good speed to pull away from guys. So he's not just like big and slow. He's actually pretty agile for his size. So I think coming into the game, I think our defensive coordinator, what he has to do is, for one, change the picture on the quarterback. And then 2, We're going to have to knock off the timing. And when I say knock off the timing, I mean, like, we're going to have to get hands on the receivers. If we're like zone coverage or we're passing guys off, like, we have to put hands on these guys to knock off the timing, because that extra second or two that the quarterback may hesitate, and it's not like a clean release, is an extra second. You have Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor closing in on them, right? So, but look, that Louisville coach Brom, that's the name, right? Coach Brom.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like the last, like 2 years at least. I mean, he's been, last time I seen him at home, like, they had a really good offense. Their tight ends went crazy, I believe. A lot of under routes, a lot of mesh concepts. They push the ball down the field. So, they're not afraid to throw it around. I guess I'll leave it at that. They're not afraid to throw it around. They're not afraid to throw interceptions. They're just going to keep it coming. So, but I do think we'll be we match up. I think we match up well for what they do well.
Yeah, we'll talk about matchup. Go ahead.
I was just going to bring up the comment that Michael Montalvo said. Miami was able to slow down Deuce Robinson. I expect the same with Bell. I think Miller Moss is more capable as a thrower than Tommy Castellanos. And I also, again, to what we were just saying, I think Brom is going to do a good job of scheming him the ball in this one. So I still think he'll get his 7-8 catches in this one.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we line up in more of like your man concepts on defense, or we run a lot of zone coverage and change, like I say, change the pictures up a little bit on Miller Moss to make him make bad decisions, which he's shown that he's, he can do that. I don't want to sound like that Tommy Castellano saying that. We said that about Beck last week, but I hope he. I'm sure we have a pretty good game plan. Coming off a bye week and a lot of time to rest and recover and just see what we did well against Florida State, what we didn't, and I'm curious to see what we do going forward with this new style of offense that Louisville kind of runs.
George Valera, appreciate you, man. Good morning from Dallas. He'll be at the game. So Ahmmon, just watching these guys and how they get down in terms of the receivers. We mentioned Bell, crossers. He's like seems like a build-up speed kind of guy that when he really gets rolling, I think he had a track background in high school. It's like when he really gets those feet pumping, he's tougher to deal with. Of course, he's 220 pounds. Lacey also kind of a guy that likes to run.
Yep. In
terms of we talk a lot about man beaters and versus, dealing with zone coverage. Just for the fan that's listening that hears terms like man beaters and just different types of routes designed for man coverage. What does that mean? And what should the average fan look for when we talk about man beaters and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So man beaters, just a quick example. If anyone, I'm sure we think back to the USF game when Josh Moore had that touchdown, his first touchdown. That was a man beating concept, right? It was just simple mesh. DBs are trying to trail from behind. You got a tight end on the other side, and they're meshing, right, to get the other two to at least slow their feet or go over or under the mesh, breaking point. That's a quick beater. Obviously, whip routes, which we do a pretty good job of it. Especially 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5. You see Malachi Tony running the whip route when they're anticipating man coverage. It's like a fake mesh whip route. It's very hard to stop. I don't care how good of a DB you are. If you see a guy running to the other side of the field and you're guessing mesh, you're going to haul ass. And then if he stops on the break and whip back out, it's just hard to beat. Those type of routes, man, those are your two killers. I believe last year they ran a lot of mesh concepts. Not last year, the year before at home when Guidry was there. When he was there last year too, but that first year, I felt like we couldn't stop them on 3rd down. They were running a lot of man beaters, anticipating that we're running a lot of man. Obviously, Guidry was kind of showing the the looks. But yeah, so man concept, man beaters is if you're a cornerback, that's things you hate the most because you're going to be doing a lot of chasing, a lot of running from across the fields, things of that nature. Yeah, double moves as well. Obviously, double moves is another one. But I say the mesh is where you just get. It's someone said it to me the other day. It's getting slashes. You just keep getting slash and slash and slash, and it's very annoying. Before you know it, you're dead. Before you know it.
I think you can make a pretty strong argument that, and we'll talk about the run game, I'm sure here in a bit, but with all the teams Miami's faced, you feel good about what Notre Dame is now with CJ Carr having played some games, but between the CJ Carr playing in his first game, the Florida offense sputtering at the time, Florida State having their inconsistencies offensively. I think you could argue that this is, between the play calling, the solid QB play, the weapons that they have, the best offense that Miami's seen so far. All of those things considered.
Yeah, I do think they're schematically like definitely one of the best for sure. Like it's just, I feel like it's just very hard to defend a lot of their concepts and what they do well on offense. I feel like their coordinator, obviously, like he has like his identity, same way we like, we're going to run like that inside zone and we're going to like smash mouth. Like they have their identity as well, and they're pretty good at it. It seems like their receivers, Lacey, he's been there for 2 years now or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Bell's been there. So these guys that's been in the system, they know the concepts very well. Obviously, they got, a guy that's played a lot of football, Miller Moss, coming in. Obviously, this year before that, obviously, they had a talented quarterback, obviously got drafted, all that stuff. So, I would say they're definitely one of the best offenses, I definitely one of the best in the ACC for sure.
And to clarify what I'm saying, like if Miami played Notre Dame again right now, I think Notre Dame poses a bigger threat than they did in game one, with CJ Carr now having some confidence underneath him, right, and having played some games. But like that's not the same Notre Dame situation that it was game one, I don't think. And I think Miami's improved also. So I don't want people to take that the wrong way either, but I just think that Louisville's in a good spot in terms of a lot of the things we're talking about there.
Yeah. No, they got a really good team. I know they dropped the one to Virginia, obviously went to like overtime, but I mean, really they're borderline a ranked team, good matchup, very good offense, one of the best defenses in the ACC. So, like Mario said, it's going to be a challenge. Just like I feel like every year we play them, it's always like a chess match, so thing I do like I said, I like our depth. I like our just overall team and just our trenches over their trenches. And I think that's just where we really separate ourselves from them. Just those trenches we seen, man, the trenches at the end of the day, those win you football games at the end of the day, so.
And we'll see here on Friday. Lord Baconton saying Tommy talks way too much. Yeah, obviously Castellanos turned the ball over after talking about Beck's turnovers. But with Castellanos, FSU did not have the offensive line to match up with Miami's defensive line. Really, no one does. Maybe Texas A&M, but they definitely could not block Miami's defensive ends. We saw Louisville last year could not block Miami's defensive ends. Now, Castellanos ran around, created some plays with his legs. Wasn't enough, but he was able to avoid a lot of sacks. Tyler Shuck, you mentioned last year, big guy, more athletic than people think. He ended up being a second-round pick. There were a bunch of times last year, if you watched the game against Louisville, where Bain or Barron got through, and he was able to escape and either throw it to the running back for no gain or just throw it away. So he was able to avoid a lot of these big sacks that I don't think Miller Moss is going to be able to do. So you expect to see just quick passing game. So Ahmmon, you can take the offense perspective, defense perspective, whatever you want. When you're in a game where you know that one team just cannot drop back and pass deep, just because personnel-wise it's just not possible, and they're going to have to live in the quick game, how does that affect what you do? You can go from the offense perspective, defense perspective, whatever you want.
Yeah, I think on a defensive side, I see it as like Ruben Bain is like obviously a game-wrecking type of player. Like, and even if it's not in the stat column as far as like an official sack, like we see what he does and how he is getting quarterbacks off their spot, getting them out the pocket, getting them uncomfortable, which then affects everything. So I wouldn't be surprised, like if I'm our DC, I can't think of his name right now for the top of my mind, but Heatherman. I'm anticipating a lot of like max protections, tight ends, chipping the ends, and then leaking out. Florida did a little bit of that as well. So I would anticipate something of that nature. I don't think you'll see, spread 4 receivers running routes, and they're just going 5, they're blocking 5 and the running backs on a route. I think you're gonna see running backs blocking, tight ends chipping, anything to slow down that pass rush, which in turn you're gonna have less guys on concepts. So it's going to be interesting on the defensive side. Offensive side, I think they do a lot of things, changing their looks at the snap of the ball. They disguise a lot of their coverages very well. They got pretty good athletes throughout the secondary. Thing is that I just think our identity just never changes based on who we play. I think we're still gonna smash them in the mouth. We're gonna run the football very well, convert third downs and slow methodical drives down the field. Now, if those one play touchdowns are there like we had last week, cool. But I think our style of play is never going to change no matter who we play. Like obviously we see Notre Dame, Florida, Florida State. It all is relatively the same style of play. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and you wonder if you get some inside pressure if they're chipping outside, because I watched Virginia Hammond, who's from St. Thomas Aquinas. He was getting in there, just beating their center, beating their guard, and like that inside pressure, that's got to be the worst kind of pressure of all, right? Because you could chip defensive ends, you could step up in the pocket, but if something's coming right at you, right, there's really nothing that you can do with that, right?
Yeah, man. It is that Louisville got a challenge ahead of them. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm just looking at it from a Louisville perspective, like we just do everything very, very good on the defensive side of things. Like we're rarely like out of position. We got athletes who can really bump and run. We got Xavier Lucas ran a 10-6 coming out of high school. Like we got speed in the secondary, speed at linebacker. Our edge rushers are like,
and they're playing fast too, Ahmmon. It's
yes.
like it's showing up on the tape the way they're running to the ball. Guys like Jacoby Thomas and Poyser.
Yeah, we're not like, I think the Louisville coach, he even said it, like we're not over complicated. Like we're just playing really good football with the simple things. Like, and that's what we wanted last year. Just make it simple and just effort. And that's what we're seeing. Guys are just flying to the ball, taking great angles, cutting off the ball, stopping it from getting to the edge, setting the edge. Like, I mean, that's like football 101 that they teach in like Little League, and we're pretty much, I wouldn't say mastering because there's a lot of room to, get better and improve, but we're doing a really good job of the simple stuff, and we don't have to get creative and exotic when you just line up and smash the other person in the mouth.
So here we go. Let's see. Vaughn saying Jacoby Thomas, a poor man. Jalen Ramsey, same look, same style. Shoot, I'll take that. Comment from George Valero saying, did you hear what Brom said about our D-line? He said he spoke to UF coaches, and they said they haven't seen a D-line like that in the SEC in the past 3 years. So, Ahmmon, you played at a time when the SEC was really rolling and they had dudes. Just seeing this defensive line, do you think we have elevated to the point where they're not taking a back seat to anybody? This is kind of the standard right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't agree. I don't disagree with what he's saying. I mean, when you really look at it, and I know like as like Miami fans, like sometimes you almost don't want to like overhype yourself, right? Based off years past and things, whatever. But if you really just look at the landscape of college football and you just really look at our D-line, or matter of fact, I'll do you one better. Take the UM logo. Hold on. Take the UM logo off the close it. Take the UM logo off the sorry, someone walked in. Take the UM logo off our helmet and then put Georgia, and people will be saying, oh, we got the best D-line in college football. That's how I see it. So I just think if we really just look at the body of work that we've done so far, like we do have arguably, one or two best, defensive line or front seven in college football. You can argue Ohio State. I think they got a really good, linebacking crew and D linemen as well, but we're up there. Like that's what we've all been preaching for the last 4 or 5 years, like to get it to look like that. And we go to practice, we've seen the practices, we've seen these guys up front and personal, and we've all said the same thing. Like these guys just look completely different than we've really seen at Miami in forever. Just the body types, the size, the speed, the ability to, it's there. So what he's saying, I mean, it's in line with what we've been saying all summer, literally.
So wide receiver core, you got two guys. Wait, hold on. I'm not gonna let this just
go. I'm
not gonna let Coach Brahms. You
trying to butter us up, Pete.
I think that it was a very nice comment from him. He's facing the Hurricanes this week, and it was a very glowing thing for him to say. And I think the D-line certainly looks like some of these D-lines that we've seen in the SEC in the past. But to say that they haven't seen a D-line like this in the last 3 to 4 years in the SEC, when you had Will Anderson and Dallas Turner playing together at Alabama, Fedarian Mathis inside, who was a second-round pick. Then at Georgia, you had Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Trayvon Walker, and Nolan.
That was 3 years ago, though. That was 3
he
years
said in
ago.
the last 3 to 4 years. So what the hell are we talking about? So they haven't seen a D-line like this. They said they haven't seen a D-line like this in the last 3 to 4 years in the SEC. I just told you they had that there was arguably the greatest D-line like in the last 15 years there. So I think it's a very nice comment from him. I don't think that it's correct factually, but I think Miami's D-line should eat this week.
All right. First of all, I think he was saying since Georgia, but anyways, Ahmmon. So I didn't know if I should ask you this one because I don't know. You tell me if this is a trap. Javi Kane saying, ask what you think about the bozo list.
Man, listen, Javi Kane, listen, X looking for you, bro. I told you, X looking for him, bro. He's a troll, man. He really a Miami fan, but he likes to get the reactions. You know, he has a bozo list, man. I really don't want to list even the names, but he called like Marquise Lightfoot, Marquise Flatfoot. He just have all these crazy nicknames for all the guys. What's the name? Robinson, the receiver from St. Thomas.
Chance.
Yeah, Chance. He's like Opportunity Robinson. Like he got all these crazy like list of guys. And you know what's the crazy part is that every person he put on that list, he had Ruben Bain on there at first. Every single person he had on there literally is performing or starting to perform. So it might be like a reverse jinx. I don't know, but yeah, nah. Sometimes I left the chat like 2 days ago because it was just getting too crazy. You know, they were hyping up Ole Miss when they were losing, and that Ole Miss would beat us. And I'm like, they're literally losing to Washington State at home, you know. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, Lightfoot 2 sacks, I think, on Friday. At least one. I think Lightfoot's going to get after it here. The arena asking, we'll be at the Lickin' on Friday. Looking forward to seeing the crew. Yes, sir. We will be there on Friday, probably around lunchtime, noon.
Yeah,
we'll be out there eating that fried broccoli, enjoying life. So definitely head out to the Lickin' before the game. Eat, get ready. So you're not eating, $200 food in the stadium, chicken fingers, whatever. Get the real food at the Lickin' right there across the street. Beat the traffic. It is a no-brainer. Got the open bar too. Shout out to Chef Bridget, Taylene, Chef Mello, or Coach Mello, sorry, the whole crew out there. Playing time saying, Pete, sit down. UM's D line is elite. He's not having it.
It's been playing elite. It's not those Georgia or Bama. I would argue it's not even what Michigan's line was a couple years ago. But
no, I'd agree. I'd agree with Michigan. I'd agree with Georgia. Alabama, maybe. I mean, Ruben Bain's going to be a top 5. Ruben Bain's going to get picked just like Will Anderson got picked. Mm-hmm. It's not like there's a big difference between Will Anderson.
In the 2 years that Will Anderson and Dallas Turner played together, they had 46 sacks. Please.
Ruben Bain's going to get picked just like Will Anderson. He might have a higher grade.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Dallas Turner, first rounder.
46 sacks in 2 years between two players. Stop it. Don't let him do this, Ahmmon.
How'd they play the run?
Oh, shit.
How'd they play the run compared to Ruben Bain?
That's fine. I'm sure it was fine because he was the number 1 pick in the draft.
Number 2 pick. Ruben Bain's going to get picked just as high. Actually, number 3 pick. Ruben Bain get picked for number 3. That's not crazy.
Okay.
They say Pete wearing the crimson on Saturday.
Listen, all I'm saying is it was a very flattering statement that was incorrect. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. But a question, I'm gonna give a little. Did Florida play Alabama like within those years? Is that maybe where they maybe he didn't? He's going off teams they played in the SEC. Maybe he didn't really like.
They played Georgia, Ahmmon.
Will Anderson graduated in 2022, by the way. 2023,
that's 3,
2024, 2025. 3 years.
3 or 4 years. 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4.
Yeah, 3. It's 3 to 4. He's not. He doesn't remember the exact years. Will Anderson was gone in 22. I think Jalen Carter was gone in 22, wasn't he?
I think so.
Listen,
Jordan Davis was gone in 4 years. Jordan Davis was gone in 22. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. He agrees with you. Those were some nasty. Jordan Davis graduated in 21. So those great D lines were great. Once those D lines left, SEC took a huge step down. SEC has not been SEC. I appreciate
the people in the comments who aren't gonna fall for the
Well, let's
state.
see. Tell me a D line in the last 3 years, because Will Anderson graduated 22. So tell me a D line in 23, 24, 25 in the SEC. 3 years.
Dude.
3 years.
Was 3 to 4 years. You're changing it.
I'm saying three. These guys were not in 3 years. He's saying 3 to 4 because he's estimating. So Will Anderson gone 3 years.
Then you're completely just moved the goalposts on me. But so I don't know what to tell you. I didn't have that in my argument.
I'll give you 4. I'm not giving you 3.
I literally have just told you those are the 2 that I would put. The other after that, I'm chilling. But
this is funny. Man.
I'd agree with Georgia. Georgia was gross.
Yeah, Georgia's nasty. I mean, there's definitely some room you can compare for sure.
Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you can definitely compare.
3 years ago.
I think, Ruben Bain definitely is obviously an elite player. But you can comp some teams definitely out of SEC. I'd probably say the closest one, I'd say Georgia for sure. If you're just looking from just a physicality standpoint, I said one of those Georgia teams with Jalen Carter and that whole there's I think all of them on damn near the Eagles right now. So, but yeah, that's where I'll say something like that.
Bucks of Plenty saying Michigan's D line. Michigan didn't play in the SEC. Bucks of Plenty. So
I said that too, but
I'm saying I would agree with you, Pete, on Alabama, which is 2022. I would agree with you on Georgia, which is 2021. If we're talking about 23.
Yeah, but 22,
24 this year
was Trayvon Walker not on that team too? And I know his production wasn't great, but he still affected games like no,
but crazy. They started flipping because remember 23 is when Michigan won it, which I do agree. Michigan had the best defensive line. They had Mason Thomas and Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. So that was 23.
And they had Chris Jenkins Jr. who was a good second round pick as well.
Right, but that was not SEC. So they won in 23. Last year, the SEC was overrated, as we all know. And then this year, those D-lines suck. Miami's definitely better than a D-line in the SEC right now. That's not even a question. So that's 3 years right there. That's all I'm saying. I'll give you 4. I'm not giving you 3. I'm not giving you 3. That's what I'm saying.
We'll just change the quote then. That's fine of what the coach said. We can do that. Go for it.
He said 3 to 4. So you got the 4. I'll take in the 3. All right. So we got sidetracked. Ahmmon, so receiving wise, we talked about
Texas A&M also. Thank you, Phil.
What about Texas A&M?
I'll throw that D-line from last year.
That D-line was garbage. Remember Tyler Van Dyke went against that D-line? He threw for about 500 yards.
2 years ago. You're doing this. Those 3 years ago.
What about last year? Okay, last year we were better than Texas A&M last year.
There's the attorney in him. Ahmmon, you see how he starts to flip? He talks about
Pete, you think that
D-line.
Hold on, Pete. You think Texas A&M D-line last
year has some dudes? It's in the conversation. To say you haven't seen a D-line like that, that's crazy. Anyways, let's move on.
What did Texas A&M? Did Texas A&M do anything last year? Were they playing on Hanukkah? Were they playing a bowl game on Hanukkah and losing?
He's talking about a whole different thing. Miami had the same players on the D-line last year, D. What happened with that defense then? Come on. We can do that argument all day.
Let's see. So Texas A&M last year played in where they play on December 28th or something and lost? That D-line wasn't that good last year. What are we talking about here?
Miami had the same same D-line last year. So what's the difference?
Yeah, we're talking about this year. We're talking about this year.
So I'm talking about, come on, man.
Are you saying Texas A&M last year? You're saying Texas A&M last year was better than Miami this year in D-line? Is that what you're saying?
I say it's in the conversation without a doubt. To say that it's not even like a conversation is
not a conversation. Texas A&M last year, you didn't even know anything about Texas A&M last year. They didn't do anything.
Okay.
Playing time saying Pete needs a blood pressure monitor during the show. That's what I'm saying. All right. So, someone go on my mic? You tell me.
It does sound a little weird,
man. Shout out Gary Fernandez.
See, maybe you might have the audio. Do you have a volume thing on your mic?
I'll play with it. I think the truth's just coming out loud here. Is what the problem is. The truth's just coming out loud. There we go. I mean, crazy. Texas A&M last year better than this D line. I mean, what are we even talking about here? Jack says I got that mic popping when I get heated. All right, so back on the receivers. Ahmmon.
Yeah.
JoJo, we heard all the talk from Shannon Dawson, basically saying straight up, I had a lot of talks with him this week, pushing him in practice. We think he had a good week of practice for the bye week. Now we want that good week of practice for this Louisville week and hopefully get him on the field against Louisville on Friday and make him plays. So that was from Shannon Dawson's mouth yesterday. You look at this. This is a very talked about player. I know you know because you're on the streams, you're on Twitter, you're on all that. So when you talk about JoJo Trader potentially having a good week and getting ready for this Louisville game, just like I know we talk about him a lot. Dawson was talking about him, so I think it's fair game. Like, where are you at with JoJo in terms of like getting him ready to play on a Friday, knowing that the fan base is talking about him? He must be dealing with it a little bit because Dawson's sitting him down and talking with him. So, what do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, so what I heard essentially without the coaches talk is that he's finally ready to go. Whatever was, they were withholding him or getting him right, or whether it's practice, whatever it was, the tone and like certain key words led me to believe like he's actually like ready to go. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he's a dynamic receiver, and we all been waiting for about 2 years now to see what he can do. And, hey, I'm excited. Like I said, I've been injured before, right? So I know how it is, right? You think you're ready 1 week, and then you're in practice, it don't feel right. Warm-ups, it don't feel right, so you don't go, right? So some of that part is like definitely true. But based on what I said, I think he had 2 bye weeks essentially. Well, he didn't play Florida State game, obviously. So that's like 3 bye weeks right there to kind of, get in game shape, because that's another part of it as well when you're missing a lot of time, just getting like that game shape. And you practice how you play, man. Like if you're not making plays in practice, like it would be almost like coaching malpractice, right? To throw a player out there who's just not ready and just watch him fail or lose confidence, right? So, and we've been winning with, I don't want to say without him, but we've been winning without him, right? So I think it's just like a +1 type of thing. If he's good to go, he's good to go. If not, we're not gonna put him out there. But I really do believe we're gonna see him on Friday, and that's not inside information. That's not me at practice or.
Hey, listen, don't say that, man. I'm already thinking about the thumbnail and the title for this one. Former Hurricanes receiver drops inside nuggets on JoJo Trader, man. Come on.
Hey, they're gonna come for me, man, because if he don't play, they're gonna be on my neck. No pun intended, by the way.
Those JoJo videos get like the most views of anything we do. So I'm not bringing them up just for the clicks, but Dawson was talking about him. He's pretty honest guy. He says like, listen, man, and I'll pull up his exact quote, but he said, he's like, we sat down, we had some good conversations.
Yeah. And
it's clearly something that is a thing. If you have Dawson talking about with that kind of, with that kind of candor, right? That let me pull up his exact quote so I'm not misquoting him.
Well, and I'll say this, D, while you look up the quote, I laughed about it a couple of weeks ago because when they asked Dawson about, and we talked about this, Ahmmon, they asked Dawson about JoJo, and they said, hey, Coach Cristobal said he's available, and Dawson, like, this was like, I don't know, USF week, I think, maybe, and he was like, oh, well, I'll let Coach Cristobal, talk about the availability, but we're excited about JoJo, sort of thing. Like it was news to him during the press conference when he heard that. So for him to go out there and be more, detailed about it, I'll say, I think that probably shows there's progress.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing I picked up on, just like the tone and everything, just the body language was completely different when he was talking about him playing. It felt more like actually like genuine. Not to say he's a liar, but it felt like he was actually like locked in. So, I think he's ready, man. It's been a long time coming. I just hope. I think the best part about this whole thing is that we're all like, you got people who's upset or anxious, and it's all really, we have the same goal. We want the kid to get out there and show us that he's an elite talent. That's just what it comes down to at the end of the day.
So here's a comment from Dawson. He said about JoJo, he had a very good week last week, which we said on the show last week, like, hey, people ask him about JoJo. This is a huge opportunity. We just hope he's balling, during this bye week. And sounds like that happened. Dawson saying very good week last week. We've had some very good talks again. So this is not just us kind of creating clickbait. If this guy's sitting down with JoJo talking, I mean, you can kind of figure out where the emphasis is. He says, I love the kid, which I've heard. The kid's a great kid. So he had a very good week of practice, really good day today. I look forward to him finishing this week and making some plays. And then mentioned, him and Josh Moore could play more. We want those guys rolling in. Those guys are going to have opportunities to make plays. I want them in the game more. So
yeah.
Clearly they're trying to push him because he brings something a little different to the room.
Yeah. And down the line, as we got 7 weeks, like I was saying earlier, like you're going to need those like Josh Moores, JoJo's, Tony Johnson, even Ray. You're going to need those guys as this kind of 7-week period or season, I should say, is going to get started, right? Guys going to get tired, burnt, whatever. Like, I think now's a good opportunity to start utilizing like all the weapons. Not saying we have to, right? You don't definitely, but if we get up, 28-3, 28-7 on Louisville, like I wouldn't surprise me to start seeing, the Josh Moores and guys like that starting to get a little bit more burn. Because now we're not playing like a 12-week season anymore, right? Where we just go to a bowl game and that's it. Like we're talking about playoffs, championship, type of length, right? Which Carson Beck has seen. So he knows what that looks like. He knows, what type of body your body has to hold up for that long of a time. And, obviously we haven't played that long of seasons. So, I would like to see those young guys like, like I said, JoJo, Josh Moore, even Tony Johnson, and get some burn in there as well. But like I said, I'm not saying we need to see them, and we're not crashing out on Twitter if they don't. I promise you. It would just be nice to see like us to start blowing some teams out or get like significant leads where you can start to put those guys in without like it being close or a team like trying to rally back or anything like that.
That's what Bama would always do. They'd always get their young guys playing in those blowouts, and then they'd be ready to rock and roll.
They wouldn't really change their style though. They wouldn't really change the play calling. They would just play the same sort of game they had been playing the whole game, except the young guys letting them run.
Clutch saying, crazy how fast things change. Joe Jose, wide receiver 1 and 2. Then to this is like when you thought it'd be JoJo Trader and Isaiah Horton as our top 2, to Mally CJ in a matter of mere months. New age of college football. Horton left to be wide receiver 3. Best of luck to the kid, though. I mean, he caught a touchdown. He's playing well. That's a really good passing game there. And I think
he wanted to play with Simpson. Like as crazy as that may have sounded to people at the time, he was very close with him from high school time. He believed in him, and he didn't know who the quarterback was at Miami. Like I really don't think that move for him is going to be looked at as badly as people think it is right now. He'll be drafted, and he should have a good year.
Yeah, talented guy. He's talented.
So Bucks of Plenty saying it would be nice to talk about CJ Daniels. Let's talk about him. We were talking about it yesterday, which is, I don't know what you think about this, but like seeing CJ Daniels now healthy with his foot, he had foot surgery in the offseason, which was bothering him at LSU. Just watching how he's performing, I think he'd probably be the number 1 receiver at LSU if he stayed there. It's like the guy we're watching now is different than the dude that we saw on TV last year, at least to me, physically.
Yeah. Now he looks way healthier. Like he looks explosive. Obviously the hands has always been there. He bounced back from, what we'll call like a subpar game against, Florida with the, the drop, whatever, wet game again. But I like the way he came back and he just showed you he can really be like a deep threat receiver. He also can catch a screen and take it the distance. So he put some different things on film that people pretty much said he couldn't do. And he did them both in the same game. So I like that a lot for him. And I think like that type of game gives you like that confidence booster to kind of keep stacking them. That's just, as a receiver, man, that's just kind of how we think, man. You have a 100-yard game or 150, like you feeling up here, like you want to try to hit it again, So I like that momentum. Malachi went crazy. Like, and I'm not saying Malachi didn't go crazy in the other games, but this one just felt different. It felt like that like rivalry game, like, Florida State bump and run, play man coverage, right? And for us to just cook them the way we did, it's just kind of like that, like monkey off our back. Like, people didn't think Malachi Tony could pull away from guys. He showed he can pull away. They said Malachi wasn't that fast. He couldn't really go deep. He literally took the top off. I mean, he really scored 3 times. CJ Daniels is not fast, right? He ran right by their best corner. He's not elusive. Took a screen like 30 yards to the crib, dove in the end zone, and did the Florida State troll. So.
Oh, man, comments going crazy. Vaughn saying 2019 is the standard LSU. Let's be honest in terms of the best college football teams. You played against 2018 LSU. I know that was not a fun night, but
yeah, we got stepped on.
Yeah, I mean, look, offense. You talk about quarterback and 2 receivers with Burrow and the 2 guys, I'd say, yeah, they're the standard. Everything else, Miami's got them smoked. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's a great dimension. If you have 3, all pro Hall of Fame players, that's a great dimension, but that's the only dimension they had.
I'm gonna say that. So I think it's a little bit hard to because when you're like playing a team, like for example, like we played the Daniel Jones, like we played, Drake May. And then I just think like when we play like LSU, like I don't really think anyone at that time thought like Joe Burrow will be who he was or who he is today, and then Jamar Chase will be the best receiver in the NFL. Like if you said it at that time, you'd be like, they're good, but I don't know if they're gonna be that buff. I think part of that is just continue developing. But when we played him like Justin Jefferson, like he was good, but he wasn't like how he is, or viewed as today. So just I guess I say that because we got some guys on our team, like for example, like a Ruben Bain, right? Like everyone thinks he's really good, but it's like he could really be like one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL, which would change your whole like viewpoint on how you look at the Miami team now, right? Like we might have like 2 or 3 guys who may play on Sundays for a long time. You don't know, but you won't really know like that comparison until they go in the NFL for a few years. If they're making plays, doing their thing, then they're gonna look back and be like, man, that 2025 team had NFL talent on both sides. Like we know, but I just think it's a little different viewpoint when these guys get to the NFL and like dominate. Like a Ray Lewis, for example, really good at Miami, but like really got to the NFL and like was going crazy. Then you look back and like, damn, he was on the team with all these other different players, right? So just a little different viewpoint how I see it. But that 2019 or 18 team was definitely crazy, but I didn't really know it was that crazy until like looking at it like now of what they've done in the NFL.
No, that's a great point. And, the work ethic of these guys, like, Jefferson's one of those guys that he's always working on his game. So you see how some of those guys kind of develop and continue to get better. And then, you look at them like, hey, they were always what you see on TV on Sundays. But, there was a process.
I don't agree with you, Vaughn. You said Vaughn in the comments says Pete agrees with me. I don't. I just think that honestly, you can't even compare. The eras are so different with all these teams that it just. But yeah, Miami 01, greatest ever. Come on.
I think the hardest thing about it is like when you compare with some of these teams to 01 is, Ed Reed was 24 as a rookie. You know what I mean? Whereas if you look at LSU, their best defensive player was Derek Stingley, who's a great player, but he was a freshman. Sean Taylor would have been the best player on LSU as a freshman, and he didn't even play on Miami because you had a 24-year-old Ed Reed. You had guys staying longer that were also NFL stars. So just the length of time people are in college, I think, like the star players, it just makes that team a little different because even if you're a great team, you're going to have a lot of guys that are 3 and outs, and that's just going to make you younger, I think, as a team going against a team like 2001 Miami that you have first-round Hall of Famers that were old. That, to me, I think is a little different, just the age factor, right? Because you played them on. So, like, just the fact when guys are old, just that straight alone, and you're seeing it now with the portal. Miami's got some old players. Like, is there a difference when you get to a guy who's a senior, just for 4 years in the weight room, 4 years, banging in practice? Like, does that make a difference?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like I call it like that grown man like strength. How they say, like, for example, like D Money right now. If someone walked up on you, I know you're a little like on the smaller end, but
hold on. Wait, like compared to like a football player, or like an average human. I'm in the weight room every day.
Just like an average human. Like I've seen like an old man like knock out a younger guy because they say he has like that old man, like he has that hit power, behind him. So I see it as the same thing in like football where you get a guy.
Hold on. You're calling me old and small, right there, back to back.
But I'll give you credit because if someone walked up on you right now, D, I think you can handle business.
Thank you. I think you
can handle business. But I guess my point being is that like an older guy like who's like 24, like they've been in a weight room 4 years, 5 years going on. It's just like that they've seen the game, they can move a lot faster. If I can compare it to something, imagine like your senior year of high school, like when your freshman year of high school, when you first walk the hallways, and then compare it to your last year when you're like confident, you're walking around, everything is, you're moving faster, you're the guy. Like that's just kind of how I could like compare it to something where these guys seen a lot of football. Jacoby Thomas, he's been in a lot of weight rooms, a lot of conditioning. He just has like that natural like feel for the game at this point on a collegiate level. So I think it's having like that veteran guy definitely like I think there's a little bit of not really that much drop off. Having like an older guy, which I don't mind us going after some of those vet guys like Muhammad Toure, Jacoby Thomas to fill in some holes in the team. With that experience and like ready now type of mentality.
Yeah, no, and that's what you got on this team with the Jacoby Thomas, Mo Toure, right? You got some guys that have been around. Top Wesley Besaint now. I think you're seeing him as a senior. He looks like a whole different dude, and we should give him some love too because I don't think we talk about him enough on this show. But Wes Besaint, to me, the speed, the way he's put on weight, he's 230 but long, lanky. Like he's a good looking 230. It's not like he's moving around all tight. I'm very impressed with Wes Besaint. I think he might be an NFL type of linebacker when it's all said and done. We saw Kiko Mauanoa starting for the Jets, had a good game last week. I'm not sure we don't see Wes Besaint somewhere in the NFL, whether special teams or playing on defense next season, because seems like he's got a lot to his game.
That's when I talked to him at practice, after practice, one of those days, we had like the alumni thing or whatever, and I just asked him like, what do you think about the defense? Like, how does it feel? He's just like, bro, it's just like we play fast, like feels free, like we can just play. And I like that. And when he said that, this before the season, but you can just tell the way they're playing, like they're able to like flow downhill, like they're running sideline to sideline. They're not like communicating like right before a snap anymore. They're not confused or, going in the wrong gaps. Like it's just very simple, just old school type, defense. And so when he said that, like obviously, players always, say they feel good about a system or coach or whatever, but to really see like him in his last year just really like excelling and playing fast and comfortable, like I like that. And I think he's still got a lot of room to still improve and get better as the season go on.
Yeah, that comment, by the way, in the chat's going crazy right now about this LSU. I'll tell you this, my hot take is I think the 2020 Alabama team beats 2019 LSU. Forget about 2001 Canes. That's a whole nother level. I think that Mac Jones team, they just had more overall top to bottom talent than LSU, but I don't know, that discussion, that's for another day. But Ahmmon, you mentioned the defense being streamlined. We're talking to Wes. That's something that Louisville offensive coordinator, that Brom said as well. That he said, it's not the most complicated defense from an offensive coordinator scheming against them standpoint, but they play fast, they play physical, they know what they're doing, they know where they're lining up, and that honestly means more than trying to trick you and X's and O's, So
yeah, when you got the talent like that, especially throughout a secondary and a D line, like you don't have to like, I want to say gimmicky, right? Because we just played Florida State, but you don't have to be all gimmicky and stunt guys all over the place and try to, get too cute where you get beat and guys are too confused. Like you can just line up and just kick somebody's ass for 60 minutes. Like that's I like that better than, faking like it's cover 2 and it's cover 6. I don't know, whatever. Just too much. Like it's too complicated. Guys were confused last year. Obviously this year is just very simple. I think there is some complexity to it. Which some of our speed packages and stuff like that, but for the most part, like our base defense, like we just gonna line up and just kick you. Like we just gonna line up and whoop you. That's just what it is.
We didn't really talk much about Isaac Brown, Louisville's running back. I think we should discuss him real quick before we let you go, Ahmmon. Yep. Game-breaking speed, South Florida kid he's from Homestead. What have you seen from him? And I mean, we talked a lot about their passing game, but how do you see them getting him involved?
Yeah, I think they got 2 really good running backs. Obviously, Isaac Brown is like that speed demon. Number 26, can't think of his name off the top of my head, but really good player as well. I've seen him, make some big runs. Like he has some speed as well. But Isaac Brown in particular, we saw last year where, one play he hit the sideline, like you're chasing from behind. So I think this week we got to do a really good job of cutting off angles, which I think we've done a good job so far, swarming to the football, because he's the type of guy that he can outrun a really good angle. But I do think if we're physical with him up front, stopping him before he gets going, I think that'll lead us to have, very good success stopping the run. But I think we've seen a lot of good running backs so far. If we're going to be honest, I think, obviously Notre Dame had a 2-headed monster, which, we, shut them down. Florida, and Bond, he's a really good running back, kept him in points. So I just think as long as we do our part, don't try to get too cute on the D line and try to do too much, just play your assignment, be fast, physical, and I think we'll do what we need to do. But I don't think he's like a power running back or anything like that, like running between the tackles. I think he's more like your scat back, get him out of space, where that's where he excels. So just angles, man. I guess I'm gonna just leave it off that angles. Just taking really good angles and cutting off that guy, man, is what we need to do to slow him down.
All right, Ahmmon, before we let you go, appreciate your time as always. Give us the prediction for Friday.
So the spread I looked at said like 13.5, right? I'm not sure what they're estimating Louisville's total to be, but I think we dominate, man. I'm gonna go 40. I'm going 40-20. That's what I'm gonna do.
Like that. I like that.
I just think we're gonna lean on them up front. We're gonna control the line of scrimmage on both ends. And I do think, obviously coming off that game, like where Beck was, obviously he was dialing, right? 20 for 27, like, and he really could have went, like he could have kept going for real if we didn't let off in that fourth quarter. He could have went, went stupid. But I think this is the type of game where I don't think they have the DBs that really match up with definitely no Malachi Tony for sure. So I think our passing game is going to be, we're going to have a really good game plan in the air. But I just think up front we're going to control them. So I just don't think Beck going to get that much pressure. And obviously running the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage is going to open up those big shot plays, which I think is going to be there this week.
Love it.
40-20.
40-20. Let's go, Ahmmon. Appreciate you as always. Every Tuesday, tune in. You got the legend himself, man. See you on Friday. You'll be out there?
Yeah, I'll be out there, man. I go to every home game. Yeah, 40-20, man. What do you mean? And the 20 points is going to be a garbage time touchdown. You know how it is. We give up one garbage touchdown a game. We give up at least one. So, yeah, man, 40-20. That's my thing, man. That's my thing.
Appreciate you as always, man. 40-20, and I'll see you hopefully on Friday, man. Be good.
Yes, sir. I'll see you guys there.
Later, Ahmmon.
I know you got to get out of here too. Get to the gym, do your thing. Appreciate you, even though your memory is short. 3 to 4. 3. 4 I'll give you. 3 I'm not giving you. 3 I'm not giving you. 3 I'm not giving you. The SEC was already falling off by then. Maybe they didn't see Alabama 4 years ago. That might be what it is.
I feel like 4 years ago would have been the 2021 season, and then like the Bama team.
No. 25, 23, or sorry, 25, 24, 23. So 23 was the year that Michigan won the championship, and then 24 was last year. Where Ohio
and by
State
the way, D, I already hit the gym this morning. You're giving out false information here. So
that's that clutch had you wrong.
Yeah. All right, guys. Later.
All right, we are gonna switch into kind of recruiting mode. We're gonna bring in the GM of the top 7-on-7 team on the planet, Raw Miami, Coach Duaso. Also, I'm gonna bring the bank and give you some information there. First, want to talk about some folks that are already those 5-star recruits, and they've signed with Miami. That is OrchidMan Florida, ORCHID Man Florida.com. Landscape artisans from the Keys all the way to Palm Beach. They're the absolute best in the business. They make landscape maintenance easy, attention to detail. They do the pretty work and they do the dirty work. Hurricane prep, landscape lighting, fertilizing, tree stump grinding, irrigation, you name it. They do it at OrchidMan Florida, ORCHID Man Florida.com, where there's residential, commercial. If you want the finest landscape services in South Florida, that's your guy. Huge Canes fan, huge Canes supporter, ORCHID Man Florida.com. And then also, if you're Ahmmon said I was small and old, 5'10", average size, but try to stay active, get banged up a little bit because I am a little bit old. And if you are on the injured list, you don't want to stay there, right? You want to be at peak performance. You know how hard it is to be dealing with injury. Maybe even try to hack your rehab, come back earlier. But if compromising your movement or performance is not an option, call the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. Whether it's elite competition with Miami Hurricanes athletics or just everyday movement, the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the absolute best and the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set an appointment today at uhealthsports.com. All right, let's bring him in live from I don't know where, Bali, Indonesia.
My
Where are you
balcony.
at?
I got the cleaning lady in my apartment today, so being in the office, you could hear the vacuum in the background.
I thought that's your office right there. That little chair. That's where you make
Yeah, this little
all these
chair is where you
moves.
could catch me at least half the day.
So those who don't know, who have not watched him on the show, Coach Duaso, Raw Miami. If you've seen him on the show, if you've listened to his shows, he's giving you a preview of college football for the next 4 years because his boys are balling right now. Let me just go through the list, Coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. Miami Hurricanes, Malachi Toney, number 1 freshman in America, product of Raw Miami. Bryce Fitzgerald, freshman All-America, midseason All-America on the defensive side of the ball. Safety played with Raw Miami. You're talking about Dallas Wilson at Florida, putting on a show. One of the best receivers, young receivers in the country, Raw Miami. That's your boy Donovan. How do you pronounce his name? Number 1 from Missouri.
Aluga Bay.
I saw him making all kinds of plays against Alabama as a true freshman.
You know what's crazy is he's younger than Malachi.
Is he really?
Yeah, he graduated high school at 16 years old. He's very intelligent. Funny enough, he's half Irish, and then I don't know where his dad's from, but he's of African descent. He's half Irish, half African, and dude, he's very sharp. Graduated at 16 years old. Not a combo you find likely these days. I being half Irish playing football.
Yeah, well, he's balling, man. we got a couple Irish guys. I'm trying to think. McConaughey, who out there making moves, but no, yeah, Donovan O, I call him. He looks great. Who else do you have this year? Oh, KJ Duff for Rutgers, who we talked about on CanesInSight. A lot of people wanted him to get an offer. He ends up turning into a bona fide number 1 receiver for Rutgers. Looked really good on Saturday. Caught a touchdown, I believe. So you got a few guys out there, man.
Yeah, got
Isaac Brown, who we got to deal with
at Ohio State. So
oh yeah, Julian Payne. That's right. I forgot about him. We go at it in the chat. Look, he's going to put up huge numbers. Smart, good, accurate. We'll see it against in the really tough matchups, but that's a product of Raw Miami.
He's a dink and dunker. I call him a silent assassin. You haven't seen him push the ball downfield because you haven't needed to see that, I think, yet. But I believe our trenches are better than theirs. So for the record,
and you've been riding, but you're riding with Saint for a while, and he's obviously having success. Isaac Brown from Louisville, who we're talking about here in a second. That was one of your guys,
he's one
too,
of my
right?
guys as well.
You told me about him when he was a sophomore. I think that was one that Miami really probably wishes they had back. Not getting Isaac Brown.
Yeah. At the time we were on Chris Johnson. I kind of get it. It's It was a tough situation. Yeah, they were a class apart, but when you want to take an undersized speed back, they already went with Johnson. They put their eggs in that basket, and it was understandable. In hindsight, do we probably want Chris Johnson here with what we've seen in SMU with his speed? Yeah, but what we have in our backfield is electric. But definitely don't have a speed guy like Isaac on our roster. He is a special talent, runs with a great balance with his speed and size. He's a home run threat whenever he touches the ball.
I hear the birds in the background, man. You're living the lavish life here, watching your guys perform. But just yeah, I mean, look, Raw Miami, because we talk about it a lot because obviously we're friends, but also a lot of these guys end up playing for the Canes. I know some of your older players, Wesley DeSaint, right now starting for the Canes, making some plays.
Yeah, sure. I was with the old team. I had him, Cam Kitchens. I've had my nice fair share of Canes come through the program.
But let's talk about some of the guys that you've produced recently that we talked about when they were recruits, and you told us about them and kind of told us a lot of the things that we are now seeing on the field before these guys even enrolled. So that's why these segments are important. That's why we love having you on. But let's start with Malachi Toney, who, what jumps out to me about Malachi from your standpoint is you really were the first person to tell me, and you said it on the show when we had you on, hey, this guy's intangibles. Forget the what he does on the field, skill-wise and talent-wise. He said, this guy's off the field is the best I've had since Cam Kitchens. He is elite student of the game. So that's something we've definitely seen translate.
Yeah, it's his worth ethic. You can't beat it. And one thing I like to preach to my young athletes now that I've been in this game quite a while is, and funny enough, I had this conversation with a former Canes coach, and T-Rob, who is just a historic coach in this world of college football as a recruiter and developer. A coach will trust and play a kid before he plays the more talented kid if he could trust you. And those intangibles of living in the facility, from the just not only the weight room, it's what you put in film session, what you do with the GC, what do you do with the QC, what do you do with the student assistant, like what are you doing extra to learn your opponent and your weaknesses and improving them. And that's the biggest thing is Malachi lived in that facility. He's the first one there and the last one out. Same shit with Cam Kitchens. Both are 3 stars, not the most talented, not the most eye-popping talent-wise. Obviously, they're talented. They got the scholarship offer to the University of Miami. But I'm just saying the intangibles that these ranking sites want to see, and even the fan. Oh, did he run a 4.3? Did he run a 4.4? That's all irrelevant when it gets to college. Because and look, I'm in group chats with some of our friends that like to complain when freshmen don't play. Freshmen don't play because they can't be trusted. Sophomores don't play because they can't be trusted. If a talented guy is not on the field, 9 times out of 10, he can't be trusted to be out on that field.
Yeah, that's 100%. It's intangibles, and then really, as a freshman, even all the way through, man. I mean, Jose, you've seen all these guys make it and not make it. It feels like intangibles makes the difference, 90% of the time. And even if it doesn't right away,
there is athleticism that has to go to it. You need to run a certain time. You need to jump a certain height. You need to have this type of bench press, which is all obviously you need that in the sport, but the game's much more mental as it is physical, which people don't realize.
And so Malachi, someone, again, you said it about how he worked off the field. With Bryce Fitzgerald, the thing you always said when you talked about him was people don't realize how athletic and fast this guy is. He can really be a corner, but at safety, the speed is like.
You can't take away his ball hawk ability, actually. Cam and I were talking about it recently about Bryce. It's just like he's got those intangibles you can't teach, where he knows see ball, get ball, and you're seeing it. He has 3 interceptions or 4 interceptions right now. He's the perfect center fielder. I'll tell him to his face. Everybody says it. He improves his tackling. He's a 1st-round pick. Just based off what I know he's going to run in the 40 and just the small sample size we have right now of how he just jumps routes. It's straight up like the guy knows where the ball is going to be. He's a very intelligent kid. Went to Columbus, went to your school BUZZN prior to that, so the type of mental he has to have to be a BUZZN kid. And he was at BUZZN for some time too. He spent more time at BUZZN than he did at Columbus.
Yeah, it's not like he failed out. He left to play
just like Fernando Mendoza. He made the better decision to go play football at the better football school. But if BUZZN was good at football, you don't lose 2 really good football players, and you would be beating your chest like no one.
No doubt. Yeah, that one hurts. Yeah, I think you can honestly. I mean, he's good where he is at safety, and I think I agree. Continue to improve his tackling, 1st-round pick at safety. That's where his ball skills play up the most. But I really think, and you've been around, and you have a corner committed to Miami right now, Jalen Waters, who we'll talk about in a second. But I mean, I think personally, he could probably play corner if he needed to, just because of his.
100%. His speed. But it just goes back to what you and I have talked about. Is you can't take away what he provides to you on defense, with his instincts.
Yeah, because he takes the ball away, right? And at the end of the day, that makes a huge difference. So I went over the list just off the top. So I want you to correct me and fill me in before I even move on to the next point. So I want to make sure I get all your guys: Sane, Isaac Brown, Tony, Dallas Wilson, Donovan at Missouri, KJ Duff. Who am I missing? Des Ricks at Texas A&M. I saw him doing his thing. Ellis Robinson at Georgia. Right. What are the guys do you have right now that are balling at the college level? Let's say power 4. So I know you have guys balling at all the levels. But let's say power 4. Who do you have balling making plays?
You pretty much named it. On defense, you have Ellis Robinson starting for Georgia. You said that's right.
Wait, hold up. Your mic is your mic's out right now. So why don't you sign off and sign on? So we'll get you right back on here. Just sign off and sign off real quick because your mic's getting a little fuzzy. But we'll bring you right back on here. Yeah, Fence Post says, well, that's a lineup. That's why we bring on Coach. And Raw Miami in general has been a very good program for the University of Miami. You mentioned Cam Kitchens, obviously Malachi Tony, Basaint, DJ Ivy, another one that's in the pros. So they've had success. We've missed a few. I mean, Josh Jobe, probably most famously going to Alabama, and now he's really good corner actually for the Seahawks. That was a situation that he had a team before called the Immortals. So it's been like the 7-on-7 is kind of an evolving process. Coach Duaso's had multiple teams, but Raw Miami being the current one, and there's a lot of guys there. Oh, now you're in front of the art, man. You switched to your yeah. It's your mic. Something's up with the mic. It's coming in crackly. All right, I'll let him go here. LA asking Duaso and D, can we get Dallas Wilson in the portal next year? I mean, look, Dallas Wilson. I would say this. I don't know any inside info. I know we wanted him bad the first time. With Dallas Wilson, I think it's going to depend, obviously, on what happens at Florida. Is the whole thing going to kind of fall apart, right? Is it going to be a situation where the core, which is going to be DJ Lagway, Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, they just say, hey, we're just going to stay together and do it. We like the new coach, whoever it is. We'll see. But I don't think he's a guy that couldn't jump in the portal. He jumped in the portal already. He signed with Oregon, then he went to Florida. It wasn't even a decommit. He signed with Oregon and then flipped. So he has that personality where you could see him. Like, I don't think he's necessarily there for always just because he's there. So, we'll see on that. As we wait on Coach Duaso here. Ryder Boy, who is your realistic dream quarterback for 2026? There's a lot of, Sagapolatelli is a young guy. He's really, really showing a lot. Although he's not perfect. He has work to do, but he's being asked to do a lot there at his school. People know I like CJ Bailey. I think in our system, he could really, really develop into something. Guy that's got experience, but still has a lot of upside. To me, as a veteran guy, if there's like a Carson Beck scenario, man, if Lenore Sellers just kind of continues to struggle with pass protection and receiver at South Carolina, and he just says, man, I don't want to go pro because I didn't have a good enough year. But at the same time, I'm really stuck in the mud with this surrounding team. I love South Carolina, but this just is not going to work for me. And he jumps in the portal, and that's total speculation. We speculated on it yesterday. That'd be a guy I would take in a heartbeat. I'm a huge Lenore Sellers fan. I think a lot of the struggles that you see from him at South Carolina is the result of bad offensive line, bad receivers, but it's hard to predict. I mean, no one would have thought Carson Beck would have been the guy last year. So we'll see. All right, here we go.
Hey, sorry.
Oh, look at that.
There we go.
Pretty good. Some nice art behind you there.
Thank you. Fiance has good taste.
Yeah, shout out to a Fiance Esquire. So I was going through your roster. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. So I had Sane, I had Brown, we had Tony, Dallas Wilson, the Donovan from Missouri, KJ Duff, Ricks, Texas A&M starting corner number 2, Ellis Robinson starting quarter for Georgia, Bryce Fitzgerald. Am I missing anybody? Who else you got balling?
Yeah. Well, funny. I think we signed 21 Power 5, 21 Division I players last year. 20 of them won Power 5. Obviously at Florida, Javari Flowers has been playing a little bit more the last couple weeks. Then you have Nashawn and Drake Stubbs waiting for their time there. Cortez Mills has gotten some action at Nebraska. He's in their rotation. Doesn't have many catches, but has been in there. You have Keon Young at Ole Miss, from what I'm hearing, is stepping into a role here in the next few weeks out of Lakeland. And at Auburn, I actually have Blake Woodby and Anquan Fegans, brother of former King commit Traquan Fegans, playing as freshmen at Auburn. I think I've always told you I've spoken very highly of Anquan Fegans. He's one of my all-time favorite players.
Yep.
Maybe for the fact I've had him since the 8th grade, and family and I are very, very close. At SMU, don't have any guys playing on the field from Raw. Obviously, Romello Brinson's kind of came on early in the year. Their offense is kind of stalled out, but he was having instant success in the beginning of the year. Have a couple guys there in their backup quarterback. But Dominic Kelly also at Georgia has gotten some burn this year, a corner out of IMG from the St. Petersburg area, Tampa area. Great kid. But other than that, yeah, Mazio Bennett at South Carolina. We have about, I want to say like 28, 29 guys playing Division I football, Power 5 football right now, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out your guy Romello Brinson, who 484 yards for Southern Methodist, 27th in the nation in receiving. So he's doing his thing. You were always a fan of his. But just looking, man, at the Miami
That
Hurricanes.
SMU therapy is great for former Canes.
Hey, listen, I'm glad they get an opportunity, man. You don't want them to just disappear, right? But as we talk about just this Miami Hurricane team, knowing the landscape of college football as we just laid out, kind of the talent, and not just who's going to Miami, but who's going everywhere. How do you feel some of the talent distribution has gone for Miami? In other words, how's Miami stacking up with these other teams based on who they get?
If the same, if not more, look, like I said, I like to refer to our group chat and some of the guys that like to cry that they say my 5 stars don't go to Miami. Look, I know we know talent over at Raw, and I always said don't worry about Malachi. We got the one, and I think we were right. Shout out to our boy Filete. He's giving me the props thing. He's never seen me so right on takes in my life. But no, our talent. Look, Mario's a high volume shooter. We're in it for every kid. If you go look at the freshman All-American and even like the freshman All-American list from last year, I would say even the current All-American list of this year, not even freshmen in midseason, they you have a serious amount of Canes. Like one little ball bounces the other way, we get David Stone, you get Colin Simmons, you get Anthony Hill,
Dylan Stewart.
We are evaluating, especially in the trenches. And look, we knew Mario and Mirabal were going to do their thing on the O-line. I don't think Jason Taylor's getting the flowers he deserves. What's our D tackles coach name again? Former Cane.
Damian Lewis.
I think you're seeing a nice little injection of him. No disrespect to the guy that was formerly there, but just that D-line looks the best. But what's the consistency there? Jason Taylor's been with them now, going on 3 years? So I think JT needs to get his flowers and respect in the college game. Look at what his D-line's doing. But when it comes, back to your question is, Mario's a high-volume shooter, and it's Steph Curry. He's not going to make every shot. We're going to get upset we whiff on the David Stones and the Colin Simmons of the world. But look at what we have, because he's going after 10 guys. He's landing 5 of them. And I know you're a baseball guy. If you hit 300, you're in the Hall of Fame, D-Money.
No doubt. You get a batting title nowadays.
Per our chat, so.
So talk about the future, because all these guys that are balling right now in college football, these were people you've been talking about on this show, in some cases since they were sophomores. So you really give our fans a preview of what's going to happen in college football, particularly at the receiver and cornerback positions and quarterback as well. So 7-on-7 season really is not till January?
Yeah, we'll start up in January, go about to mid-April, then they go into spring. Now, funny enough, which I would like to see Miami to do, is colleges are gaining interest in June for us to kind of bring, I would say, not our JV squad or 15U, but a mix of the guys on varsity mixed with the 15U kids that are going to move up. We did a tournament at Nebraska last year. Now I have a lot of colleges calling me, say, hey, we want to mimic what Nebraska did and get you your team on campus. And I'm not saying it, obviously. Look, not every kid on my team is destined to go to Miami. I have 24 kids on the roster. You only take 24 total guys in a recruiting class, and that's counting linemen and all that. So we try to create other opportunities for these guys to see. And the experience we had in Nebraska was awesome to see, because you see kids getting out of their norm. And remember, my team comes from across the country. So there is a strong base of it being from South Florida. But it's a cool experience to see these colleges doing it. Like I said, I'd love to see Miami get into it, because that event's awesome. You have the coaches, they legally are coach, since you have to, they have to legally coach up your guys. So while the tournament's going on, you're getting tips and pointers from Power 5 coaches. The world of 7-on-7 is evolving, and it's awesome. But you kind of see now that time frame that in June, we got to start hitting college campuses and playing in tournaments in them, that the coaches evaluate, create scholarship opportunities for our guys. And then you go into the national championship, as you and I sat in the stands when I had to be put in the penalty box for a game.
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah, man.
We won't talk about it, but we'll just leave it there.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. But you ended up getting back out there, and you guys had a good season. Really, the best team in South Florida, no question. And now it's really about getting that national championship. Some of the guys,
the year 4 for me, and same with like a Mario. It's national championship or bust. I made it to the ship in year 1, and I tasted that, and I'm fiending to get back there.
But you're state champs, right? You're state champ.
We did. I think I'm 5-1 against South Florida Express. DEF CON's usually a good battle. We got their number last year, but the SFE got us down here in Miami. We got them in Dallas, and then in Las Vegas as well last year. So always a good battle. All very talented squads, all very good brands. Their track records speak for itself, and it's just fun. The state of Florida 7-on-7 teams are definitely by far the best teams.
Well, let's go to your team here. In terms of guys that you have on your rosters, let's say guys that are you had for this last season that you're not going to coach again because they're going to be in college by next season, but guys that have not gotten to college yet, and then guys that you expect to be on your roster next year. Just talk about some of the talent that you have from your most recent class that's going to sign here in December, and then some of the guys will be sticking around.
So this is going to be our smallest signing class this year. I did that with reason. I saw a lot of young talent and said, hey, I want to just do a massive youth movement. I'd rather that. I want to say we have a nice amount of graduating guys. I want to say like 10 off the top of my head, but you have Jalen Waters going to the University of Miami. I have Jordan Clay going to Baylor, who's a big body receiver. You have we really Calvin Russell, obviously, as everybody knows, he was on our team. Kai Meza, that's a D money special out of Utah, was committed to Minnesota, just decommitted, looking at Colorado and a couple of these Big 12 programs, Kansas State. That guy is a D money special if I've ever met one in my life. Obviously, Helaman Kasuga played with us. He's going to Texas A&M, and Diabell played with us going to Texas. Not just we have Waters' class, but for the future, I'm very excited. I want to say we had 7 guys ranked in the top 100 in the 28 class, 4 of them being the number 1 players at their respective position that played with Raw. We had the number 1 corner in the country in the 28 class in Amir Sears, who is Jalen Ramsey 2.0. I know I always come on here and say, oh, this guy. I had Ellis Robinson. I had Des Ricks. The standards are those guys. Well, in a couple of years, the standard at the DB position is going to be Amir Sears for me. He is what you want to find in a corner. Play every position in the secondary. Probably just as good as a receiver as he is as a DB. But if you could backpedal, that's where the money's at. I have Zayden Gamble. Can't speak highly enough of him. He's the captain. He's high IQ. Reminds me a lot of Cam Kitchens at safety. Just vocal, knows where the ball is going to be. Not that typical 6'2", 6'3" safety you want to find in today's game of football. He's 6 foot, but just that Bryce Fitzgerald, Cam Kitchens gene of jumps routes. Just ball hawk, see ball, get ball. Very excited for him. Obviously, the man-child in the 28 class in Bryson Wright. He played with us last year. He'll be playing with his dad's team out of Jacksonville in some tournaments with us this year. But he's a freak show. I have Aiden Johnson, the number 1 athlete in the country. He's at MacArthur High School now. DN, wide receiver, 6'5", crazy wingspan. And then also Giovanni Tuggles, the number 1 safety in the country out of Winder, Georgia. Great kid, played a couple tournaments with us.
That's Jesse Tuggle's son, right?
Huh? We just recently offered him.
But his dad's Jesse Tuggle from the Falcons. Is that, I think I'm the right guy?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I could find out if that's
probably
true.
Yeah, I think it is because the brother was Nitro Tuggle, played somewhere.
Yeah, and then in the 27 class, I also have Ahmad Hudson, who's the number 1 tight end in the country, 6'7" with size almost 13-inch hands. So Yeah. At Nebraska, I've never seen a more dominating performance in my life. And then to wrap it up, coming home to South Florida, you have Nick Lanier, 5-star receiver. In Florida, I have Osani Gales at IMG Academy, another receiver. We're pretty loaded going into next year when it comes to the 5-star position.
You know, I want to talk to you about Amir Sears as we pull up his sophomore video. She's a sophomore right now. So this is basically what he is right now. He kind of reminds me, at least in terms of the caliber of player that he might become, as like a Jalen Ramsey type recruit. By the time his time comes in 2028, he's pretty much locked in as a 5-star player. What do you see with Amir Sears? I know you talked about him briefly, but just like, you've been around NFL DBs, you've been around NFL receivers, you've been around, you know what it looks like in terms of that top level. You know, where does this guy stack up, and where do you see him fitting? Because we're watching him play receiver right here. I know he can play corner.
Never had a 15-year-old be that confident in my life. Put me on the island, let my nuts hang, and I'm going to strap him. And he strapped every single guy he came across. Don't get me wrong. In the beginning of our 7-on-7 season, he would mess up in certain coverages. You never saw him get beat deep. If it was a zone, he'd mess up passing on the guy, whatever. But when we got to OT7, actually, Atlanta, the sevens, the flick switched for him. This tournament that we had made a massive play that should have been the game-winning play against Cam. We were in Atlanta playing in downtown Atlanta, Cam Newton's hometown. There was some hometown cooking. You know, I love referees. I went full Bob Knight without throwing a chair on the field on the referees. But it switched for him there. He got into OT7. The guy was clamps. Like, we played him in the nickel, and he's all but 6'2", pushing, like, honestly 6'3", but he's closer to 6'2", on the higher 6'1" side, probably, if we really had to measure him. His dad's a big guy. His dad's like 6'4". Shout out to my guy P. But Amir's confidence is what makes him so good. Obviously, that made me laugh. But if I show you the YouTube, it was pretty bad. It is on YouTube. Just look up Cam Newton versus Raw at the sevens. But no, Amir's confidence just makes him so good because he's got the twitch, he's got the IQ, he loves the game of football. Like, he is a football player. But I've never come across a kid that young with just that much mox, like, and confidence. Like, you're not going to beat me. I am better than you.
And this is, you know, for a reason why we're talking about a kid who's only a sophomore in high school. This guy's probably going to be a top 5 player in the country. I think he already is, but that's where he's trending. And you don't get into recruiting, really. You like to stay out of it. I mean, you're involved, but you're not like a guy that pushes schools. You'll drive, you'll take us to Miami as needed, and you've obviously had a huge pipeline there. But Sears likes Miami, right? It's a Miami family, which is why we're highlighting.
He's the Miami guy. There's a video of him saying it, talking about Miami and FSU and Malachi. Like, I think it's Miami's. Like, I'm not saying he's a lock to Miami, but Miami's going to have to try hard to lose this one. If I know Mario Cristobal, he's going to go all in on a guy like Amir, and I don't think he lets this guy leave town. Hopefully, as a Canes fan, I would love to see it, but I think wherever he goes, he's going to be that guy.
What do you see? So, again, that's why we're talking so much about this sophomore in high school, because I think this will be a 5-star Cane. So if everything goes according to plan, and obviously we know how those guys get attention, so we're highlighting him now early. That's what we like to do. Go ahead.
Dan, it kind of, just to make this point, it kind of goes back to when we were. I think I've said it on the show. Like, why do you take a Brandon Ennis? Why do you take some of these 5-star guys the last couple of years, and why Malachi is going to help Miami in recruiting moving forward? Every young kid looks up to these guys. Malachi is a king right now in South Florida. Every kid wants to now follow that pathway. I'm not saying like follow it, but they respect it. And I think you're going to start seeing a trend in some of these South Florida kids that we typically have whiffed on even under Mario, starting to stay home because of guys like Malachi Tony.
And just the player, as we watch this film, you've seen these guys grow, you've seen how they develop physically, you've seen how they develop mentally, and how they've been utilized. So you've seen the whole process from sophomore year to college. when this guy's a freshman in college, hopefully at University of Miami, where do you see him physically looking like? Like, what do you see his physical profile looking like at that time? I know you're not a psychic, but just projecting because you've seen this process before. And then where do you see him lining up?
He's a corner. I would love to see Miami use him how like Florida State used Jalen Ramsey. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Ramsey kind of just play all over the field? He played corner, played safety, played nickel. He is a lockdown corner in today's game, but he's just so special with his ball skills ability that it's like put him at safety if you need to. Like he could play anywhere, but if I had to bet where he's going to make his money, it's at the corner position.
And size, just speed wise, like what you think is just he's going to look like?
He's already everything but 6'2", if not like a third of an inch from not being 6'2". I don't have the facts on me. Usually I know their height and wingspan from visiting these colleges, but he's 6'2". Like I have photos that I could send to you of him standing next to me. You know how tall I am, Dan. I'm 5'11". He's got a few inches on me. So at 15 years old, I think he'll be about a 6'2", 6'3" corner, which is massive.
And do you think he's going to be over 200? Like I just in terms of his body.
Yeah. Like Dan, this guy's ceiling is a top 10 NFL draft pick.
No, I believe it. I just, I think people, they don't realize when you're around these kids physically, it's just different than what's listed on a paper. You got to kind of see them and see how they're built.
I know he's not a Kane favorite to the fans, but he's my little brother. I love him more than anything. Is DJ Ivy, and I look at kid. I put up everybody to the DJ Ivy scale because my man looks like a Greek god, and you got to look like DJ. You got to run like DJ, and you got to cover like DJ. DJ's coverage skills are great. DJ's ball skills had to improve, and we've talked about that. But if you check 3 of those 4 boxes, you're an NFL draft pick in my eyes.
Well, here, this is someone who checks those boxes, so I want to put on this film. Jalen Waters, mighty commit.
Me so much of DJ, but a little more physical. Like DJ's good. I mean, Waters is going to knock your head off. But when it comes to like body frame, it's a carbon copy of DJ Ivy.
I saw this guy at what was the last? It was an OT. Oh, it was OT7. I think it was OT7. One of these big national tournaments that I was with you guys, and I thought this guy, Devin Sanchez, who starts for Ohio State, was the best I saw. The OT7 he participated in. I think he was on SFE. Then he graduated. And then the last tournament, the guy that looked most impressive at corner to me was this guy here, Waters. Just the size is crazy. He's a strong 6'1", 6'2". I mean, he's not like a skinny guy that gets pushed around. And then I really liked his communication. He looked like he was definitely that leader in that secondary. He was not just out there covering. He was pointing to guys. Ben Hanks was really good when you had him. But I just think in terms of like size and strength and just kind of that dominance, this guy was pretty tough to beat.
No, yeah, he's very, very tough. Like Waters is every bit of everything goes right for him. Size, speed. I'm shocked he's not a 5-star, to be honest with you.
I think UM is too.
I've been doing that. I had Ben Hanks. That's another name I left out. 5-star corner. Like he's cut from the same cloth as Ellis, Dez, Ben, Amir. They're all. I'm a very blessed man when it comes to the DB position. I have to say, we're very rich when it comes there with talent. And Waters has the ball skills. He's physical as shit. Like, kind of reminds me of some of these Ohio State corners. It's like you need to take like a step back and being as physical as you are. But he will figure it out. We have the great coaches at Miami right now, and Coach E and Harris, and I trust them to develop Waters into being the special talent that he is. Like I said, I'm shocked he's not a 5-star.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of his. Do you think he's so, like, again, when you say 5-star, it's not like you're just a high school coach that's never had a 5-star. You have more 5-stars than pretty much any high school coach because it's a 7-on-7 team. You guys are adding them every single year.
Yeah, I've had, as of right now, in Raw's existence in my last year in Immortals, I've had 4 out of the last 5 like #1 corners in the country in Desricks, Ellis Robinson. 3 out of the last 4 in Desricks, Ellis Robinson, and my man Amir Sears. Then Ben Hanks was like the number 4 corner or 3 corner in the country. He was a 5-star. Waters is in that class of guys. I had Amir, like Amir was playing the nickel next to Waters. Well, like just to show you, like Amir was on the island. I mean, Waters was on the island, even though we trusted Amir and we put on the other side eventually towards the end of the year. But Waters was always our island guy. I think when I was sitting with you, Texas A&M commit from the Trillion Boys, Madden Williams, who I know you're a big fan of. That you're like, disgusting for the Trillion Boys. The second I screamed, put Waters on it, like mirror him, and Waters mirrored him, you didn't see Seven make another play the rest of that game.
Yeah, I was there. I saw it myself.
You saw it with your own eyes. So when we would get into a funk, it's put Waters on their best receiver, and he's following them everywhere. So, like I said, I'm honestly in shock that he's not a 5-star on one of the platforms.
So your most talked about player, I saved him for last year because he is the most talked about player, is Calvin Russell out of Miami Northwestern, 5-star receiver, somebody you've had for a while now. Tell us about the person, the player, and his process, as far as I know, is still pretty much wide open. I don't see it getting any closer to resolution, or it's not like an imminent resolution right there.
Funny, because I know Pete jumped off, but I think Pete would agree with me, and we talked about not saying it because he had a great NFL career, but if Jimmy Graham was a successful NFL player, Calvin Russell is a better football player right now and basketball player than Jimmy Graham was at that age going into the University of Miami. Just to kind of tell you the athletic freak that he is. And I think you've kind of seen it when you see him run around, you see him glide. Like he could move for his size. To go into the person, there's no better teammate than Calvin Russell. He is the ultimate player's teammate. He's going to bring you up. He's going to tell you when you need to hear something wrong. He's the ultimate leader. A guy that people don't know much about, that he wakes up every day at 5 a.m. and goes and works out with Sean Casey at Rawfit. Him and Nick St. Joseph, the other receiver at Northwestern, going to FAU. This guy is putting in work. What people don't see, he was doing it this summer. Everybody wants to kind of throw shade because he's not going to Miami, because he's a 5-star, going to Syracuse. He's too skinny. He's focused on basketball. To shut the haters up, he is, like I said, the best teammate a guy could have. Doesn't get mad when other people are eating. He goes, all he cares about is winning. And I think that's a rare quality in today's game of football. A lot of guys are selfish, especially at that receiver position. I think you've seen that, Dan, over your time. It's the biggest diva position out there. But you can't coach damn near 6'6". He's 6'6". You can't coach 6'6". He's a possessions receiver, and he's a 5-star possession receiver. He's got a crazy catch radius. I truly believe when he gets into a college system, you got to think about it. Yes, he is going to probably play basketball on the college level, where people, they're just doing that to get, like, no. Like, he could play Power 5 basketball. Is he an NBA talent? No. I don't know. I'm not a basketball guy. But talking to my basketball guys, they tell me no. But you know what they tell me? Oh, no, he's a Power 5 basketball player. Like, he is a Power 5 starter role guy that could play basketball. But you got to think about it. He's so skinny because the guy goes from basketball season to football season. The second he gets into a college nutrition program, this guy's going to be a scary human being. I always like to say he reminds me of just like one of those big body receivers that like Michigan's always had.
So, it's funny. I probably didn't do this on purpose, but yes, I forgot he is committed to Syracuse. Maybe it's just because I'm very skeptical that Syracuse, with the way they're performing on the field, with the way, where they're at, basically, that they'll be able to hold on to him. But I did forget he is committed to Syracuse, so I would even put you on the spot with that one. But certainly somebody that I think the more I hear about is off the field from you, the more interested I am in him as a potential recruit. So, because he does have a lot of work to do, I think.
Oh, yeah. Like, he needs to put on weight to play at the next level. But he's – I think with time and age for me, I've learned that not every guy's look like my top guys, undrafted free agents. My lowest ranked guys, highest draft pick I had in Cam Kitchens. So that's played under me. But I just, man, I've been doing this a while, and just the signs in Calvin, it's just like, is it worth the risk? And yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm with it. To me, if you have the tools and you have the work ethic, the stuff like adding weight, tightening up.
You have a
skills at
6'6"
receiver,
basketball player that knows how to use his body. Like I was watching, I don't know if you were watching the Falcons game last night when Drake London scored his touchdown. Like,
yeah, basketball player.
Literally just posted up in the post on that touchdown of the goal line. Lean on the guy a little bit, knew how to use his body, got into the end zone. Those are little things you can't teach. Calvin could do that for you. I think it would be crazy. And look, to defend Calvin here, while people are like, why Syracuse? They're paying him all. No. Fran Brown took the job at Syracuse, and his number one priority was Miami Northwestern. While in today's era of college football, teams are focused on the portal and the senior class at hand, Fran Brown made an effort to go make sure and recruit Nick Lanier, Calvin Russell, every kid at Miami Northwestern, and develop a relationship with them that will be 2, 3, 4 years of time invested. And that goes a long way for these kids. And it's no knock to Mario. We have a task at hand. We're trying to win a national championship right now. Syracuse isn't there right now. I think Fran could focus on some of those things when he took that job there at Syracuse last year. Mario.
Go ahead.
What was so no, that's my thing is Mario, yes, and staff, they recruit our guys. But when you have that head coach really, really focusing and recruiting you like you're a guy that's about to sign there, and you don't sign for another year or two, that goes a long way for these kids.
Yeah, so we'll watch that one. Hose, always appreciate you. When's the next milestone here for Raw Miami?
Just to kind of end this here, I know I promoted it last time. I'm behind one of the guys behind the Crib Classic. We did a 7-on-7 at Columbus. We did a 7-on-7 at Somerset Academy in Homestead. We did a combine at Ives Estate this summer. We're going into our 4th event of the year 2 of us having this game. In the Dade and Broward, we're partnered with 305 Sports. As you know, the Euro Twins are phenomenal in distribution and platform from the kids. But we have the Dade versus Broward game. We got shout out to my guys at Three Stripes, Matt and Stuck, for coming in and sponsoring the event for us. I'm pretty sure we're the 3rd all-star game in the country sponsored by Adidas. That's not the All-American Bowl or the Polynesian Bowl, so that's an awesome thing to hang our hats on. Shout out to Alec and Joel as well, and Rob, for helping me behind the scenes close that deal. But we're at Traz Powell. We got Traz Powell. We're at the Mecca. We got Dade versus Broward. Have some really awesome things to announce here real soon with other games that are involved. I know on the Blue Scene show, we mentioned that we have the 8th grade game, and we have a couple other things added to it. We have some awesome people lined up to be the head coaches of this game, and I'm very excited to announce it here in the near future. But on December 20th, Dade versus Broward, we have a whole day of games of just stuff that we're going to announce here soon. But December 20th, Traz Powell Stadium.
Love it, man. Fence Post asking, where can I hear more from you? Give him the all the public social media.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you, Dan, and I appreciate CanesInSight for everything. You guys have been in your guys' corner for a long time, from the days of Pete interviewing me and my cousin's guest room to me going to South Beach Studios. So it's been a fun ride with you and seeing how you guys have grown. So appreciate you, Dan.
All right. So, social, where can I find you and Joel and everybody, what they're doing?
Big Papa Duasso, 7 on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Raw 7-on-7, Raw 7v7. I'm not on Twitter. I've deleted my Twitter. Even if you see one, I don't use Twitter. I'm on the Raw account. That's where you can find me. But other than that, yeah, Raw 7v7. And then the Crib Classic also on Instagram if you guys want to take a follow.
There it is. All right, Hose. Appreciate you, man. Be good.
Dan.
All right, so I promised I would drop the bank. Got some recruiting info right there from Jose, but now we're going to get into from more of a Miami perspective. First, want to talk about, before we get into the bank, talk about putting money in your bank account. with what I call the rare triple win situation, which is play it forward. This is KashKick, KashKick on the App Store. Go download it. 1.5 million plus downloads, 4.5 plus average rating in the App Store. Number 4 lifestyle app in the country, ahead of Pinterest. This is legit. Connects to Facebook, Google, PayPal, all legit. This big time operation with KashKick, KashKick. What it does is, if you like to play games on your phone, which just walking around, I know a lot of people do, go to KashKick app, download it, consolidates all the games. Here you go. Every single type, whether it's just coloring books or RPG, sports, puzzle, you name it, they have it at KashKick. Now, when you play these games that you have all in one app, as you play, advertisers are giving you money that goes into your account. Not going to make you quit your day job, but you're going to make some money on the side just by playing games on KashKick, KashKick. And then the triple win, the third win, for every amount you get from advertisers, the advertisers make a donation in your name to the American, or on your behalf, to the American Cancer Society. So you're playing games, you're making money, and other people are donating, not even your own money, they're just donating money to the American Cancer Society. So everybody wins. It's obviously a great cause. So many of us have had our lives affected by this disease. So just an awesome operation. KashKick, KashKick, in the Play It Forward program. Really cool stuff happening over there. Just like there's really great stuff happen at Duffy's Tavern, the home of the Hurricanes, right there on the edge of Coral Gables. I was there last week with Pete. I will be there this week for a show like always, and just to get some food. Went over there at some pretzel bites. Pete was scarfing down some kind of burger. I also got the pinball and trivia here tournament next week, next Tuesday, 6 to 10 p.m. Registration opens at 6 p.m. with a 7 p.m. start. Always all kinds of events like that at Duffy's. Got Canes booster events, ton of those. At Dennis Erickson, last time I was out there. Who else was out there from the Canes? Dennis Erickson, Quatrain Hill was out there. Ed Ogeron. I mean, you name it. There's big names at Duffy's, because this is the home of the Hurricanes, has been since Dennis Erickson was coaching here, and now accepting credit cards. After 60 years, they're now accepting credit cards. New items on the menu, it's new ownership, so it's getting upgraded while keeping the same old school flavor. It's the Cheers of South Florida, the home of the Hurricanes, Duffy's Tavern. All right, so the bank. Let's get into it here. This is the article I write for CanesInsight.com. All free, 7.6 million posts and counting. Sign up today at the bank. But want to get into recruiting. This is the absolute latest bye week, so recruiting never stops. Bye week rolling. Running back, Javion Mallory from West Boca is locked in. Mario went to his game. I think he flew the helicopter there, if I'm not mistaken, but he showed up there at the game. And Javion Mallory from West Boca is locked in. But here's another name that I want to bring to your attention, and that is Amari Latimer, running back. I believe his family's originally from South Florida. Someone said that his uncle wrote the Ballin' Boys song, the one that for the 2001 national championship. So deep Miami ties here, but now in the Atlanta area, and he is someone he's coming to Wisconsin, which is having a disastrous season, and this guy is having an absolutely insane senior year. Big back, but an athletic big back. And you watch these highlights. I mean, this is Atlanta. This is not, Pop Warner. And this dude is making some big plays. Obviously a big body. That's why Wisconsin's after him. Wisconsin, see with Braylon Allen, a couple other guys they've had recently. They know backs. Jonathan Taylor, of course, one of the better backs in the NFL. But look at what this guy does as a receiver. You don't see big backs get up and get it like that with his hands, boom, and then there's the power. I mean, I'm telling you, this guy's highlight reel as a senior is off the charts. He was good as a junior, but I think as a senior, it's going to a whole new level, and Miami is very much interested. You see the power. We know Miami loves power backs, but this highlight reel, I mean, look at this, man. This is like, these are not kids, and he has treated them like children on this highlight reel. So this is a name that Miami has talked to in the past, but I think really you're going to see a crank up here as you see the senior film is just outstanding. If you're a big back like Amari Latimer, Miami is a spot for you. You got Gerald Pringle last year, so you got the speed with Pringle. Javion Mallory, a big back, shifty. Then a guy like Latimer, who is a big physical back that just, I mean, look at the way he treats these guys. I mean, it's too easy. just when it looks too easy, that's usually a good sign. But man, I'm very much impressed with this guy's doing as a senior. See the patience. And when he gets in the open field, look, he's not going to be a 100-meter sprinter, but these are long touchdowns that this guy is just racking up at Sandy Creek. Here we go. Got everybody flying downhill to stop the run. It doesn't matter because this guy is too strong. Man, he is. You need the whole team to tackle him. There he is. Oh, by the way, we had a question that I wanted to get to here before I forget from Peony Boys asking, are we really trying to get the number one running back from Penn State? That kid is massive. Yes, we are trying to get him. He is a 2027 recruit who just decommitted from Penn State from Pittsburgh. So Miami is trying to get him. Sorry I didn't get that for you, Peony Boys, earlier. But yes, Miami is trying to get. We did a video on him, I want to say on Sunday, right after Franklin got fired, that we are, in fact, trying to get him. He decommitted from Penn State after Franklin got fired. But that's still early with him. He's a 2027 kid. Latimer and Mallory, 2026 recruits. But yes, the number one running back in the country from Pittsburgh, 2027, and his name escapes me at the moment, is being recruited by Miami, and Miami is already on his list that he put out. I think we're going to continue to be on these lists from these big-time running backs because we run the ball and we sign running backs like Jackson Canwell. Canes Cat asking, are we done with Jay Lamar after he was dismissed from his high school team last week? Yes. Reported that a couple banks ago that Jay Lamar, I don't think we're going that direction. Latimer, though, this is a name that's rising, and I mean, just look at why. I mean, look at him throw that dude. This guy is very, very physical, and this is very, very impressive. By the way, over 1,500 on like and subscribe. So I'm just spending a lot of time on Latimer. I like watching these highlights. Look at the patience, and then boom, accelerates in the open field. Just a natural, smooth, coordinated running back. So last play. I just want to watch this because it's fun to watch. There you go. Red zone. This guy's got cuts, and then when he finishes, easy money. So yeah, Amari Latimer, keep an eye on him. He is absolutely a target. We'd gotten questions on him in the past because he does have some South Florida ties through his family. And yes, we are working on Amari Latimer. Also, our receiver, the name I want to have everybody focus on is Milan Paris from Akron, Ohio. 4-star player, recently decommitted from Iowa State, which just had 2 NFL receivers, so they know what they're looking at. They got him committed early, but he has since decommitted. He's a 4-star player with Oregon, Miami, all the big-time schools after him. He'll be visiting in 2 weeks. So I believe it'll be the week after Louisville, so really a week and a half. He'll be visiting, and that one's something that one of the staff's working hard. I would keep a very, very, to ask for receivers in this class, I would keep a very, very close eye on Milan Paris out of Akron. We played his tape before. I think he's a complete big-time player, total stud, huge fan of his. Now, there's other receivers, not as far along as Milan Paris, who I think when he visits, this thing could heat up. But this is somebody that's new on the radar, so I wanted to highlight him. His name's Keyshawn Schneider Tabuto. He is at Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is like an international type school. They had a running back last year who went to Ole Miss that we recruited from Canada. Keyshawn is from Canada, so this is a Canadian that's playing in Chattanooga. Again, very similar. And the name escapes me, but we recruited a running back from there that went to Ole Miss. Same situation, a Canadian. And the key with Tabuto, 10.8 speed, deep threat, having a really, really big year. And this, again, is early in the process. It's not like Milan Paris where I think that's speeding up. But when they saw this guy's senior film, they saw his track times, I think they said, man, this guy's got a lot of speed coming from Canada. Look at the acceleration. Boom, right there. Miami wants to add some speed at receiver. Talk about guys that can go to the house. That's what you want. You want guys like this. So there you see. Wow. One-handed catch, brings it in. Seems raw. So he's working. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, Anthony Manzano, the running back I'm thinking of is Kamon Spell. Thank you. You see him run after the catch. I mean, this guy's got juice, man. I could see the appeal. Still probably needs some work, but you can't coach speed. And these Canadians typically are a little bit raw just because of the level of football, but they eventually become very, very good players. I'll give you one on Miami's team, Akeem Mesidor, who, he went to high school in Florida as a senior. He's really from Ottawa, Canada. So Canadians can play. We know we had 2 Canadians starting on that 2001 Miami Hurricane teams, Brett Romberg, Circle, Haji Rizzoli. So Canadian players are not new to the University of Miami. We've had some really, really good ones. I think this guy, you watch the speed and that's what jumps out in the profile. Again, plays in Chattanooga. You see the American flag, but a native of Quebec, Canada. So shout out to Keyshawn Tabateau. Keep an eye on him. Locally, we talked about Calvin Russell, Syracuse commit. I think that's still a very live situation for the Miami Hurricanes. And Jason Lopez, you're not hearing his name anywhere else. I'm telling you, keep an eye on Jason Lopez. That situation is one to monitor. Tight end Israel Briggs committed to Miami. He's having a very good senior year. We're very happy about him out of California, top 100 player. Luke Brewer out of Des Moines, Iowa area. We've been talking about him, who recently reclassified at 26. Miami's pushing for him at tight end as well. Another name on the board, which is a newer name, Gavin Mueller. So I want to highlight Gavin Mueller. He's from Chicago, Illinois. He is a Colorado commit, but really starting to blow up. Basketball player, big dude, 6'7", I think, 6'6", 255. You see him, probably looks maybe closer to 6'6", 6'5", but man, you see the size and you see him running after the catch. I love basketball players, everybody knows, and I also love guys that when they're on their high school team, they do everything. Israel Briggs, the tight end from California that's committed, is like that. And so is Gavin Mueller. You see him taking wildcats. You see him taking catches. There he's a wildcat again, taking shovel passes. When you're the best player and you're at a place like Chicago, which does produce a lot of NFL players, you need those guys to dominate and to be the guy for their team. And I think you see that with Mueller, where he is playing all over the field. This is just one game, by the way. It's not like these are not his senior highlights. This is just one game his senior year where he scored 5 touchdowns. But you could see the size. You can see the movement skills. You can see how he's utilized. I could see why a guy like this is rising. I believe Alabama just offered him as well. But Miami knew with the offer, they like this guy. They want to recruit him hard. They've had success in Chicago with Marquise Lightfoot, Justin Scott. Had success in the Midwest with Luka Gilbert coming from Cincinnati. Brock Schott coming from the Fort Wayne area. So Midwest has been good to us. Chicago's been good to us. Obviously, Miami's a big city. So a lot of these guys, maybe more just natural fits in a big city like Miami. So that's one that we are continuing to recruit. So keep an eye on Gavin Mueller, new name on the board who Miami will be after. A lot of questions about the defensive line. I'm told the strategy is simple. They're swinging for the fences. Anthony Tank Jones, Bryce Perry-Wright, Drake Quinn, Jason Taylor visited all these guys. Bryce Perry-Wright and Drake Quinn from the Atlanta area. Bryce Perry-Wright committed to Texas A&M. Drake Quinn just decommitted from Clemson. Anthony Tank Jones from Mobile, Alabama, committed to Oregon, but he's visited twice for games. Miami's swinging for the fences, and I think they're going to be pushing for these guys aggressively. With the way we're pushing, with the way we're playing, and the recruiters we have, I'd be surprised if we didn't get at least one of these guys, but I think we're swinging for all of them. Anthony Tank Jones, Bryce Perry-Wright, Drake Quinn, among others. Name that we have a lot of traction with, Blake Stewart. Keep an eye on that one. That's one Clemson commit, Atlanta native. I think he's the best safety on our board. We've been after him hard. Miami really, really wants to get that one done. Clemson obviously having a tough season. He's visited multiple times unofficially. So keep an eye on Blake Stewart from Atlanta. Another Atlanta area safety to keep an eye on, Indiana commit, Jamar Owens. He's visiting this weekend for the Louisville game. The early played with Jontavius Wyman and Cortez Redding at one point, both of whom are committed to Miami in the defensive backfield. So watch Jamar Owens, Indiana commit. He'll be visiting this weekend. We'll get another shot at him. Questions about Trent Seaborn, the quarterback for 2027. He continues to be a high priority for Miami out of Birmingham, Alabama. He visited for the USF game. Miami would love to have him be the 27 quarterback, but they are also communicating with 2027 number 1 overall quarterback Elijah Haven out of Baton Rouge. Even though he's from Baton Rouge, he's not by any means an LSU lock. In fact, a lot of people thought that he was going to Florida for a while. Florida's, of course, having their struggles. LSU's got some other quarterbacks in the mix. Nussmeier's brothers in that class. There's a couple other guys, so it's not like a foregone conclusion. Number 1 quarterback goes to Baton Rouge or to LSU, even though he's from Baton Rouge. Miami is making a push there. So Miami's swinging big with these 2027 quarterbacks. Last name I want to mention in the bank, Karsten Bush from Louisville. He's a Louisville commit. Obviously, we're playing Louisville this weekend. Heatherman visited him this weekend. He is a former tight end, 6'3", 224. So obviously the size and the athleticism is what you like there. He's having a really good senior year. Like I mentioned, Heatherman visited him. So this is a name to watch. These are just his defensive highlights, but he is an offensive player. You see him. He passes the look test. Heatherman likes linebackers with length, with athleticism, and with upside. Yeah, so does everybody. But I think with him, he's much more likely to take someone who's newer to the position. Like, man, look at this guy, the way this guy moves. Because he wants the talent. He wants guys that look and run like Kellen Wiley. And I think this is somebody who's cut from that cloth. But you could see this guy has no business being committed to Louisville. I know he's from there, but man, he is an absolute talent. Miami did a similar thing with Cole McConaughey where he had a good senior year, committed to Louisville. They saw him. They went and swooped in aggressively and took him from Louisville. They love to do that here. Now, he's from Louisville, so that's going to be a little trickier. But if you go out there and you completely blow the doors off Louisville, if West Bassett, Mo Touré do their thing, maybe Kellen Wiley gets in there, some of these young guys, I think if you're a linebacker, this is a system you want to play in. Heather is recruiting him. Okay, there are some offensive clips. Here we go. We got him at tight end right here. Boom. Nice block. This guy's got some pop. But, man, I am huge on this guy's just the physical impression he makes with the forced fumble, the way he's moving, his size. This looks like exactly what you want to look like at linebacker. We love J.J. Edwards, who we have from Orlando. He's a solid commit. Love Jordan Campbell, who's committed from Northwestern High School in Miami, Florida. He could play edge. He could play outside. He's one of those kind of guys. But, man, seeing this guy play linebacker, seeing how he moves, seeing his size, I am very, very fired up for this dude, Carson Bush. Keep an eye on him. Had him visit this weekend. I'm sure he's watching the Louisville game. Let's put on a show for Carson Bush. Miami would love to add a third linebacker to it. There's already a very, very good and athletic linebacker class. Look at the speed like this. So over 1,500 on. Like and subscribe to the show. That's the bank. Also, if you want to save some money with your bank, get a discount at MiamiHTS.com, the Miami Hurricane Team Store. Insight 20 will get you 20% off your first item. But look, if you join the mailing list for free, you get 15% off your first order, so another discount right there. And you get to enter for a chance to win a full-size football helmet signed by Malachi Toney and CJ Daniels. I know you guys want that one in the collection. Malachi Toney and CJ Daniels autographed helmet, two of the best receivers in the country signing the same helmet. Just all you got to do is sign up for the Miami HTS mailing list for free. You get discounts. You get a chance to win the helmet. Plus, you can go shop the store, MiamiHTS.com, if you're local, right across the street from the University of Miami. All right, long show today. We've been going long lately. Appreciate you guys joining us. 2 hours, a lot of interviews, a lot of fun. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Thank you for everybody for joining us. Let's go, Canes. See you tomorrow.